For centuries, naval warfare has been defined by aircraft carriers, destroyers, submarines, and warships. But that definition may have changed forever because for the first time in combat, the United States has used unarmed, unmanned surface vessels or sea drones to carry out a strike. These vessels were unmanned but completely armed. The target was Iran's Bandar Abbas naval base, the country's most important naval hub on the Strait of Hormuz. According to US Central Command, multiple Corsair autonomous surface vessels struck a submarine and warship repair facility, a critical installation responsible for maintaining Iran's naval fleet. The attack itself is significant, but what makes it historic is how it was carried out. Instead of risking the warships or sailors, the United States sent a small, remotely operated sea drone packed with explosive to hit the target. No crew, no captain, no boarding party. Just autonomous platform navigating towards their objectives before detonating on impact. Military analysts say this marks another major step towards what is increasingly being called non-contact warfare. We have already seen this transformation in the skies over Ukraine, where drones have rewritten the rules of aerial warfare. We've seen India's resolve in demonstrating its own technology during Operation Sindoor, where we relied on long-range precision weapons instead of conventional force-on-force battles. Now, that same revolution has reached the seas. In many ways, the United States is borrowing a page from Ukraine's playbook. Over the past few years, Ukrainian sea drones have repeatedly targeted Russian naval assets in the Black Sea, damaging warships and forcing one of the world's most powerful navies to rethink how it protects the fleet. Now, Washington has operationalized a similar concept in West Asia. The Corsair air drone, developed by the Texas-based Saronic Industries, can travel more than 1,800 kilometers, carry nearly 450 kilograms of payload, and strike targets without putting a single sailor in harm's way. What was once considered experimental technology has now become a combat-tested weapon. And this raises a much larger question. If relatively inexpensive autonomous vessels can threaten billion-dollar naval infrastructure, if unmanned boats can penetrate heavily defended ports, are we witnessing the biggest transformation in naval warfare since the arrival of submarines and aircraft carriers? On this issue, I am joined by Air Commodore Dr. Ashwinder Singh Bahal, Major General Sudhakarji, and Commander Dr. Bhushan Diwan. Thank you all of you for joining me. Let me straight away go to Air Commodore Bahal. Sir, naval warfare, if gets married to sea drones like this, Corsair, how does it change the game, sir, in terms of non-contact warfare?
Karthikeya, Jai Hind, and Jai Hind to all my eminent panelists. I can recognize General Saab, whom I have had close relations with. Now, let me come straight down to the question. If you remember the Russia-Ukraine war, 30% of the black fleet of Russia has been destroyed by either drones or both drones as well as underwater drones and missiles. Now, when we are looking at other type of weapon system or underwater drones used like Toloka 1000 has a range of 2000 kilometer, payload of 5 tons. Can you believe it? And then Sea Baby is a mothership which has 6 to 8 first-person view drones on its side containers. In fact, they have now drones from where they can even launch drone interceptors onto helicopters as well as other drones. So when we are looking at this revolution that is taking place in underwater technology systems, it is not that it is taking place only in wars, but the wars have become an inflection point for drawing our attention towards this key aspect of change in strategy and warfare, even where naval warfare is concerned. Otherwise, we are known drones only for aerial surveillance targeting, but now we are using drones to attack port infrastructure, oil installations which are located close to the port infrastructure, as well as submarines under repair or ships or commercial ships like Iran had done when they started with first attacking the Marshall Islands flagged tanker. Now, most important thing that comes up in this is that drones have become a strategic disruptor and need to be taken into account in our strategy because as the technology is evolving, the drones are becoming more stealthier, longer ranges, and more effective with greater kill probabilities. And they themselves are becoming motherships now. So there is a kind of revolution that is taking place in the drone. But let me also say on the other side, it does not mean that the tanks or the aircraft carriers or the battleships like frigates and destroyers are becoming obsolete. No, drones is only an element of warfare. It cannot win a war on its own, but it can cause out of proportion results with a cost effective technology that could range just from
Okay.
$500 to $50,000. So
Basically, sir,
its
you are saying
visibility
that the
is very high.
basically you are saying that the cost of the war actually comes down. Let me take this question to Commander Dr. Bhushan Diwan. Thank you, sir, for joining me. My question to you is: the technologies are rapidly evolving. Does it make an aircraft? And I'll just take that thread from Dr. Bahal. Does it make aircraft carrier more vulnerable with the sea drones, precision guided IRBMs, which the Chinese have developed? Uh, the entire concept of a multi-billion-dollar naval armada, does that concept need to be changed, and how do we see it from Indian context? That is where I want to locate this debate, this conversation. How do we see it, apply it in the Indian context, sir?
Yes. Thank you, Kartikeya. I fought 71 war. At that time, lot of time, we have kept INS Vikrant and Andaman Nicobar port player. What does it show? You have to keep these assets which are vulnerable like aircraft carriers far away from the zone of operation. What does this Corsair provide us? India doesn't have it. We are in the process of developing. Even this Corsair has got 1800 kilometers range, and it has been launched from far away from a ship and remotely controlled by satellite from American coast. And why launch so far away from the coast? So that the enemy cannot detect you and you are free to go. So apart from miniaturization, A, apart from autonomousity, B, the question is that you have a low radar cross section and you can be deadly at large distances. Now, what about Indian system? We got so aircraft carriers are required. Tomorrow, we are part of, Indo-Pacific we were talking about. If the Indian Navy has to operate in South China Sea, let us say go from Malacca Strait to South China Sea, if you have to operate there, Navy is essentially a system for projecting our power globally. So the full paraphernalia, like the 4 carrier groups or 5 carrier battle groups of America, are there in Gulf. Some of them are earlier in Persian Gulf, as you know, not Persian Gulf, Arabian Sea and Gulf of Oman Sea. Now they have moved to Mediterranean also for safety purpose. But for projecting their power, the surface vessels like aircraft carriers, cruisers, destroyers, this flotilla has to go at least reasonable distance, maybe 800, maybe 1000 kilometers from the point of attack. You can't be doing everything autonomous from, let's say, Texas or American coast. So this is a combination of, a hybrid combination of typical conventional surface vessels and the attack vessels like USVs. Even USVs, unmanned surface vessel. Surface in the naval parlance means moving on ship, moving on water surface. And similarly, you have underwater vessels, like a submarine which is autonomously controlled. So this is a combination. Till maybe after maybe 2 decades, 3 decades, whole thing becomes everything, only machines are fighting and we are watching them side. Even today, we know, Kartikeya, we are talking about autonomous cars, taxis. Drivers are not required. So it is like that. But time will come, and there again, due to satellite communication, you have still the human control on top of it. So this is a continuous journey. I'm very happy with Commodore Bail's point. We need to, this one more point is stressed here. Every technology used in the civil world or by humanity, by the globe, it mostly originates from defense. Defense is all dual use technology. Therefore, many times when we feel we are investing in defense, perhaps we are pouring money down a well. It is not so. Look at space. Look at the internet, which came from DARPA, American project. Look at atomic power. Everything has got dual use.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, sir. Long time, my Professor Jeet Singh Oberoi, a very noted sociologist, in Delhi School of Economy, and probably the only sociologist of science, Jit Singh Oberoi, he was the one who wrote a very famous composition saying that science and high-tech defense technologies are actually the one in use in all civilian areas, which we call the best, because that's where the real R&D happens. So I completely concur with you. But let me go across to General Sudhakarji. General Sudhakarji, we had discussed how aerial drone warfare is changing the theater. We discussed it in context of Armenia and Azerbaijan. We had discussed it in context of Ukraine. Naval drone warfare is something which is which now public has started to understand, notice. My question to you is, will that make warfare more difficult for bigger powers who have invested in bigger machines, costlier machines, and this asymmetry can help middle powers like Iran? This asymmetrical warfare, this drone warfare, is it happening in a geostrategic way, middle powers?
Absolutely. Kartikeya, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me for your show, and my very deep regards and warm greetings to very distinguished and esteemed co-panelists. And both the co-panelists, I'm very fortunate to have both of them qualified, so I don't have to labor too much and go into the technicalities of the answer that you are seeking from me. Okay. Yes, the short answer to your question is definitely yes. Because when you study the book David and Goliath, what actually emerges is that a poor man's weapon is always a less costly weapon system. In the instant case, Iran may not be poor because they have oil, they have mineral. But in comparison with USA and Israel, they definitely are poorer. Their defense capability, they cannot be at par with that of USA and Israel. Hence, they have gone in for what he used the term called as asymmetry. And I'm using another suffix to it. It is called asymmetric deterrence. The asymmetric deterrence has been achieved substantially with hands down margin, and they have turned victor. They are victorious. They have defeated America without any ambiguity. They are the winners in the war. But when it comes to the subsurface or the subsea level, they have a thing called a midgates, the Gadir class of submarines. These submarines, they are 29 meters long. They go down into the water by about 30 odd meters. They have torpedoes, and they go onto the bed, lie dogo there, lay in the ambush like a normal infantry ambush is laid, and they have got the stealth capability. They approach the target, or even without approaching the target, getting closer, within range, they are able to launch the torpedoes. They have twin torpedoes. They can actually hit very massive aircraft carriers and not destabilize, destroy them. This is one part. Iran, as on today, open source will show you that 20 to 30, but my bin counting for past several months has brought me to a figure of 29. And these kind of midgates are actually available in a country like North Korea. They have adopted the technology which is very, very popular in North Korea, and they have been employing midgates in large number. So this is one part, and they employ them in shallow waters that are Persian Gulf. Now, do they also have any other capability? This I don't know, Kartikeya, because I need to do a lot of more research unless my colleagues, co-panelists, they have some value addition to contribute. But my sense is that every such kind of thing, there is another class of submarine the Iran has.
Sudhakarji, we are talking about unmanned vehicle, which was observable, How does the game change when you have these big submarines without people manning them, married to nuclear capabilities? Then what happens?
I'm coming. For example, you take the example of a drone. You are talking about a drone, underwater drone. Poseidon is the nearest parallel coming to my mind. Poseidon is a drone, underwater drone.
Yes.
It is built by Russia, and it is an intercontinental ballistic missile drone. It moves at almost at hypersonic kind of a speed, and it goes and hits the coastal area so as to generate or kick up a tsunami. They destabilize the water level and they kick up tsunami, which has got radioactive elements. These are actually targeting the east coast of America, those kind of targets. But now, answering your question in relation to Iran, Strait of Hormuz, I'm given to understand, I don't have any evidence that Iran has got the capability of the unmanned vehicles or unmanned underwater vehicles. And I'm still carrying out research. As of now,
Okay.
I'm given to understand they have about 40 of them. These 40 odd vehicles, they're unmanned. They have kept it in the hiding in the tunnels and in the logistic bases. They have not been used till now, but they have the capability to knock off unmanned platform which was used by USA recent past in order to
Okay.
evacuate two of the pilots who came down from that helicopter. They have a better version which is indigenously produced by Iran, but they have not disclosed in the inventory. It is not in open domain. Second thing they have is something which is a master class. It is the mines, sea mines. The sea mines are, the Commodore is going to put us wise on this. He's a battle hardened soldier. I don't know. There are different kinds of mines,
Okay.
drifting mines and swinging mines, and there are some mines which are actually let go. They
Okay.
go to the water. They can hit the aircraft carrier and knock it down with minimum cost. One mine is costing just $500, which is presently held by Iran.
Okay.
That most probably they have used in two occasions. One
Okay.
is way back in 1980-82, and second one was sometime between 2012 and 2019.
Okay.
I pass the card to
Okay.
Commodore and the other panelists. If they can throw some light on this, I'll be happy to learn.
Okay, Dr. Bahar, we have seen a tech demonstration by the Americans. They have
Yeah.
demonstrated the capacity of Corsair. Earlier, they had not demonstrated any such capacity in drone warfare. Earlier, all the middle powers were doing it. But my question is very simple. All the big powers are trying to marry nuclear engines, miniaturized nuclear engines, either in their missiles or in their drones or in, you know, autonomous vehicles which can move continuously without getting tracked. My question is, all of them are trying to develop drone submarines. Will it change the game, these drone submarines?
Very nice question, Karthikeya. In fact, if you remember, when the Russia-Ukraine war was at its zenith last year, towards October or so, the Russians had tested an underwater unmanned vehicle which was powered by nuclear devices, which meant that it could continue to remain under power for extremely long ranges. And similarly, for a drone, also they had done, which was a subsonic drone, and which could remain, in air for a very long period of time, and it could come from any direction and attack. So when we are looking at underwater drones which are being powered by nuclear technology, just remember this thing: their endurance goes up. That is extremely important point. When you say endurance goes up, surveillance goes up, ability to remain submerged goes up, ability to hit at the time of your choice goes up, and ability to cause strategic and operational surprise goes up. Now, Indian Navy actually is one of the most professional navies, in the world, and it has tied up with DRDO more intimately than our sister services of Air Force and Army. Now, there is a Navy technology perspective and capability roadmap, which with the DRDO's Naval Science and Technology Lab at Vizag, they are coming out with unmanned underwater vehicles, and they're coming out with what General was talking of about the counter mine measures, mine counter mine measures, and they're also coming out with submarines that can launch these UUVs, that is unmanned underwater vehicles. So they can launch this from there. They could launch it for counter mine measures. They could launch it for intelligence gathering. They could launch it to be attacking a target system. So can you believe this? It's not that the Indian Navy is any far behind in strategy or doctrine or application of technology. In fact, it is one of the better services in terms of this. But most importantly, they are doing it with the help of DRDO since 2018. And let me just give you an input to this. The Chinese were launching 12 Sea Wing underwater drones in 2020-21 during the COVID period to carry out hydrographic mapping survey, intelligence gathering, a large number of missions inside our own area of operations. So can you believe this, that the Chinese are doing this in our own Indian Ocean, close to our Andaman and Nicobar Islands and other island territories, and the Navy, recognizing this, has come out from 2018 onwards a project that they want, that they would have not just the capability for countermeasure, but they would have the ability to
But
carry out
Dr. Bahar,
intelligence, surveillance.
are we working in the right direction? We have been demonstrating a capacity, indigenous
Exactly.
capacity to build ships, but we are right now not demonstrated the capacity of miniaturization of these
Absolutely.
attack vehicles,
Now,
naval attack vehicles.
that is why the technology that is now the Navy is developing with DRDO is the one which miniaturizes, and the submarine itself launches this miniaturized underwater unmanned vehicles. So there is definitely a growth taking place in our own subcontinent. I would only request it that the DRDO agencies to accelerate this progress and carry out a much faster development than they have been doing.
Commander Bhushan Diwan, do you think that we are keeping the pace? We have Navy is a service which has really done a good job in indigenization in terms of building destroyers. I mean, so there is no doubt about it. But these cutting edge technologies are telling us two things, sir. That we can fall behind the learning curve. By the time we acquire a technology, that mode of warfare may become obsolete, and the world may leapfrog to a different nature of warfare. And this,
Kartikeya, yeah,
sir,
thank you.
sir.
You know, I worked as vice president in TCS. My boss, FC Kohli, used to say, there is nothing like missing the bus. Analog communication systems were there in USA when India had digital systems. So when I wake up, I find digital around me, I take it. My young kids are able to repair mobile phones so easily. So nothing like missing the bus, A. B, as engineers, we know there is something known as frugal engineering. Many of us don't realize it, but this is the crux of the matter. Frugal engineering, do things cheap, effectively and cheap. In fact, Institution of Engineers runs a program on engineering economics, big time, is required big time here. Third thing, necessity is the mother of invention. That is how things go. Small examples, but this is not drone, this is not AI, this is not autonomous system. I must tell you, in 71 war, the Indian Navy attacked on the Karachi oil depots. In 7 days, they were burning. You know how it was done? Simple, necessity is the mother of invention. I'm sorry, slight diversion from here. The missile boats, OSA M class missile boats, which have only 8 missiles, nothing but teeth, no tail. Teeth and tail ratio, when you talk about only teeth. These missile boats were towed by a ship like mine, INS Krishna, and towed near and left at Oka, and then let go free. The cow leaves the young kid to fight. And these missiles, why? Because these missiles are running on gas turbines, and gas turbines have limited number of operating hours. So you leave them there, and they came in, they have gone and attacked the Karachi depot 200 kilometers and come back. So I'm saying, moment we have problems, we solve them. And there is SDB, Warship Design Bureau. For 30, 40 years back, we've had it in the Navy. And the NSTL lab in Visakhapatnam, I've served in DRDO, I have seen there's torpedoes which have come. All our torpedo system on board, our latest warships which are coming out, destroyers, frigates, cruisers, they're all developed by NSTL. The point I'm making is that, we are not poor in learning curve. We are getting our act together, though I know we are not as fast as China is. China is able to produce a new aircraft carrier with 3 years. We take years, but it's happening. Better late than never. But talking about example of autonomous activity, for this attack by 3 drones, one was a survey drone, USV, 2 other attack drones, and they were kinetic, 24 feet. So no radar cross section, can't be detected easily. It also has infrared, can't be detected. It has electronic warfare also, and it goes and hits the target. This is kamikaze, suicide. And what command was given to it from 800 kilometers away? Sail to Bandar Abbas, stay outside shipping lanes, avoid patrol boats, and strike Pier 4. Pier 4, as you know, in the harbor you have piers. So this is the kind of command you give, an autonomous system takes over. Of course, there's a remote human control, maybe at the time of firing or maybe at the time things go wrong. So those things are happening. So very good satellite system. I must tell you, when you talk about fire and forget missile, like BrahMos, fire and forget is what? Having launched it, it takes on its own. What do? You feed the target data. It keeps finding, like in Ramayana, when Sri Ram fires fires an arrow at the crow. Wherever the crow goes, arrow will hit him. So this is inertial navigation system. So most of the missiles have it. Question now integration. I have a strong confidence. I mean, we know it. Indian systems, we are very good at in terms of so-called jugaad. We are very good at system integration. Our space is very nice. Atomic power, we got small reactor SMR. In Kalpakalam, it has gone critical now. I'm saying that given a chance and not given a chance, if denial happens to us, we can really rise to the occasion much faster than others.
Okay. I've run short of time. Thank you. Thank you all of you for really decoding how this particular act has changed naval war and what does India need to do. And I think the key takeaway is Jugaad. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining me. And this is all I had on this edition of On Point.